Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all my blessed beloveds out there in video land. You're watching Living and Thriving with Rusty, and I'm Rusty. Today is a crazy day because technically, even though you don't know it, but behind the scenes, it's my last day. I have done 8 to 9 interviews a day for about 7 weeks. Yeah. I probably should be locked up somewhere. It has been wonderful. I'm very grateful. I can't even tell you how much I love doing this. I don't get paid for this. So sometimes guests donate money so that the servers and all the things that keep the show going. I kind of feel like PBS almost, but I do it out of passion, and I do it because I really, really believe that the more conversations you have with strangers, the better your perspective is. And the world's a beautiful place. I don't care what they show you on your cable TV, which you should get rid of, as you know. There's just so many, many, many millions and millions of beautiful people all around this planet, making this planet a better place. And just by you watching this show, that tells me that you're making this planet a better place too, because you're challenging your perspective, changing your ideology, getting to know other people from other places. It's really spectacular. And I'm glad you're here with me. So thank you for hitting that bell and subscribing and sharing with your friends, your family, your doctor, your dentist, your lawyer, all that good stuff. Jonathan from Funky Thinkers does that whole spiel way better than I do. But you get the drift. We're all a community. Doesn't matter really where you're located. We're all together in this. So David and I have spent quite a long time today talking and chatting and getting to know each other. And I was supposed to hit record, and I didn't because, well, I'm a dummy. All right, I'm not a dummy. I'm just really tired. And David is willing to hang out with me a little longer and tell us who he is, what he does, and what makes him him. The exciting part is that he does a really good job. And I'm so excited to have him as a guest and a resource for all of you out there who, well, need a little extra edge in life. And I think David will give that to you. David.
Yes, thanks.
Who are you?
Yeah, who am I? I'm a men's leadership and life coach. And, I work with men on, a various array of issues. I'm really passionate about helping young men that, are looking to really find their place in the world, and to help them overcome obstacles to finding that place. So that's just a high-level overview, of who I am. And, I also have a real solid understanding of how trauma, can impact an individual, and what trauma, can do to a person's self-confidence and self-worth. I experienced some trauma growing up, and that trauma for me, disabled my self-confidence. It made me unable to speak up to authority figures. And it wasn't until I really dealt with this head on, that I got, that I healed from it. So, so that's, much of what I do.
I love the fact that you work specifically with men. I think that in our society today, we have a lot of toxicity going around and a lot of too much pressure for things that, frankly, I don't think they really actually matter in the greater scheme of things, the whole universal spiritual vibe.
Right.
I think men are struggling more so than ever with their role in society and how to be who they are, because it's so conflicting, the messaging. And I love the fact that you do this specifically for that reason, because the conflict is outside noise. And I don't think we raise our sons well enough or well equipped enough with coping mechanisms. I mean, we see that with all the vets, right? When they come back, they've been destroyed, put back together, and basically dropped off, and they don't have the coping mechanisms necessarily to deal with all of that trauma.
Right.
And we don't raise our sons to reach out and speak out. We tell them not to cry and pull up their big boy pants. And that's the messaging that has caused anger and rage and abuse and domestic violence. And, you know, like I was telling you earlier, I'm a feminist, but I wouldn't have to be if I wasn't a part of domestic violence. You know, if there were coping mechanisms and the ability to accept your trauma, women, it's a lot easier, but guys, they need a bud.
Yeah. And, you know, to your point, you know, if you look at the statistics, 89.5%, and this was in 2011, of men that were, of people that were convicted of a homicide were men. 90%. What does that say? You know, it confirms what you're saying, that we're not raising men in a way that affords them an easy way to reach out for help. This concept of toxic masculinity is huge. And toxic masculinity, to your point, says you can't cry, you can't show emotion. The only emotion that you can show, and it's okay, is anger and rage. So what does that do to an individual? Unless they confront that, unless they're able to really delve into certain emotional wounds that have impacted them, they're gonna be less fulfilled. They're gonna be less happy. They're gonna have challenges in their workplace. They're gonna have challenges in their relationships. So,
I think it's really interesting as we go through the timelines. You know, historically, I'm a huge history person. I love looking at the sociological and anthropological aspects of humans. That's why I get so excited when it's show day. We started out in more of an equilibrium, balance gender-wise, and then we became somehow, something triggered, and I have my theories, you do too, I'm sure, that guys had to be the hard hand, the, you know, soldier, the warrior, the more aggressive, like uber aggressive, not natural aggressive, not protective aggressive, but like uber super aggressive. And their own person gets lost in that. And I think it's hard for them to articulate how much they struggle, because they just want to be good dads or good partners or good teachers, or, you know, even with male, I have a few friends who are male teachers. When we were going to college, they would get picked on because girls are teachers, not guys. Pick up a ball. It's that kind of structure that has, I think, a lot of men confused as to how they can show up in their own excellence.
Right. And I think too, what I like to tell people is, look, if you're stuck, if you're unhappy in the current work that you do, if you're not finding yourself in fulfilling relationships that have real meaning for you, there's a reason for that. And reach out for help. You don't have to be stuck. The fact that you're stuck hopefully means you've tried several things and it hasn't worked. So reach out for help. And the analogy that I really love is, the most successful, CEOs and people in the world have a team of individuals that help them in every facet, of their life. And the same should hold true, for an individual. They should have someone that can help them work on, issues of the mind, right? Why not? If they can go to the gym, to the point you made earlier, right, and they can go to the hairstylist and various other resources, why not go to a coach to live the life you truly want to live and become unstuck? Because that's what we help people do, is get unstuck, So,
I think it's really powerful when you look at it in a different perspective, because guys tend to be hesitant to open up and allow the cage demon out. It kind of is scary because their fathers weren't like that, their uncles weren't like that, their cousins weren't like that, so they don't really have that foundation or that basis to say, hey, they're cool about having a business coach or a physical trainer, but when it comes to navigating through the past stuff, the trauma triggers, as I call them, it's kind of intimidating. What kinds of things would you recommend if somebody wants to kind of get their toes wet and get a coach, maybe, to help them with their traumas?
Sure. Well, know that most coaches, including myself, will offer a complimentary session. And it's no charge. You have an opportunity to really get to know that particular coach, get to know their coaching style. That coach has an opportunity to understand your issues, and you can then, both of you, make an informed decision that this is going to be a good relationship. And to the point that I made earlier, it doesn't have to be this momentous decision to reach out to a coach. I have a coach that she is a coach. We share coaching with one another. And I can't tell you how incredibly helpful that is for me. And you'd think that at my age, that I've got all of my issues solved. No, life happens, and life brings forth challenges. And many times we can't solve those challenges on our own, and we need to reach out for help. So I would say, try to put down that barrier that says reaching out for help is a sign of weakness, and recognize that reaching out for help is a sign of strength, and give it a try. Just give it a try in terms of working with a coach, and see what the experience is like. Most coaches are quite flexible. If you were to have a session with a coach and you came back and said, I think I need another session to really understand if this is for me, most coaches, including me, will do that, because we're really here to help. We're not necessarily here to make a ton of money. That's not what's driving us.
Well, and not everybody's going to be Anthony Robbins either, right? Like, that's not, that was his goal. His goal was to make sure he was out of poverty, and ours is too. We have bills as well. However, ultimately at the end of the day, I am really proud of myself and all that I've gone through with the tools and tricks in my toolbox, and I get to share them with you. It's no different than, if you're really good at softball and I'm not, but I want to learn, it's that kind of relationship. It's mutual sharing, and I just think we need a lot more of it. I think we need a lot more community.
We do. We really do. Another, potential option for, a person to kind of, gently dip their toe into coaching could be joining a men's group. And there's a lot of men's groups out there. I actually have a men's group, and it's been incredibly helpful for everyone in the group. And I participate just like everybody else. I bring my issue du jour just like everybody else. And what's great about it is that it's a confidential space. We get to talk about guy things and not feel ashamed about that, regardless of what the issue is. So I would encourage men, if they're, concerned about reaching out for a coach, to perhaps dip their toe into a men's group. And you can find men's groups fairly easily by doing a Google search. I'm also going to put on my site a men's group tab, so that there are resources there that will help people, find a particular men's group. And you can find that at my website, which is garofoliconsulting.com. And there's also a lot of free resources that I've provided on my website. I'm giving away tools and tips and tricks, about how to determine what are your core values, how to determine what are your core saboteurs, what are those things, those gremlins that are holding you back, and various other tools that I believe will help move a person forward. So I would encourage people, if you're curious, take a look at my website, www.garofoliconsulting.com, and just see the resources that I have there. They're free. And if you're interested and you want to experience what a coaching session is like, then fine, let me know and we'll set something up.
I love it. And in our last couple of minutes that we have, I want to just touch base a little bit about some of the men's issues. So women, we flutter. We go to the doTERRA parties and the Pampered Chef parties, and we talk, and we have our little sex toy parties and things like that. We talk, chatty. But dudes don't necessarily do that, or they do it in a way that is that toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. So what kinds of things can men feel comfortable with talking to you as a one-on-one coach or as a men's group coach?
You can bring any type of career or personal relationship related issue into the room. You can bring issues of sex into the room. Is your sex life fulfilling? It's not. What are the barriers to that? If you're considering, because you're unhappy with your current career, it's just not fulfilling you. You just don't like it. Then make a change. Life's too short. And you can make a change, because the only thing holding you back is you and not reaching out for help. So these are some of the...
You'll sit down and make a pathway. Like I usually draw a map of a tree. That's my thing.
Right.
But you'll have goals. You don't know exactly. No, the coaches don't come in as a therapist. I want to make that extraordinarily clear. We are not therapists. We're here to throw a towel and a bottle of water at you and say, get going.
Right.
That's kind of the way it works. No
right.
different than sports coaching. However, we do sit with you and break things down and look at the areas that you might not even see within yourself need to be adjusted. And it's just adjusting your sales this way or that way and recognizing this behavior and that behavior and trying to reprogram yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. It's very true. Yeah, it's incredibly fulfilling work for me. I don't know. I just kind of believe that I was put on this earth to help others, and that's, you know, where my focus is helping others achieve what they want to achieve.
I love it. David, thank you for spending some extra time with me this afternoon. My afternoon, your morning. I know that you're in beautiful California, and it's hotter than Hades up there, I've heard.
We're not too bad in San Francisco, but in the Northwest, really bad.
Yeah,
really,
I heard.
oh, 100-degree temperatures for days on end.
Yeah. We're in God's waiting room here, and God stopped giving us any favors. And so we have thunderstorms and 100-degree temperature all at once. It's kind of like boiling right now. Delightful. Yeah, it is what it is. But David, please don't be a stranger. Come on again. It was so nice to meet you. I'm so glad for the work that you do. David's information will be located below. So know that you're loved. Know that you're beautiful. Do something kind. It is so incredibly important to do something kind. And in this particular subject, do something kind for yourself and go and check out David's site. I bet you he's got a lot of information there to help you, even if you just want to get your toes wet and see what coaching is all about. We don't bite unless it's Sunday. So don't book us on Sunday, right? Till next time.
Thank you, Rustie.